Below zero hits us in life. Built for the cold, you say that ain't right. Too cold for the average Joe, just right for those who hear the show. In the image of greatness you were made, but taught by the world to be played. A new generation, we're building, no victims, we're creating. Them haters, keep hating, cause Gen Zero, we blazing. So this is probably an appropriate time to talk about our goals and dreams that we're building for our life. I'm sure some of you already are kind of looking back at those New Year's resolutions you set on January 1st, and you're like, man, why again? Why this year? Why did it not happen? And that's okay. That's an okay place to be. I want you to know that there's reasons why, right? And I'm going to cover today the 8 reasons, right, why most goals and aspirations don't end up working out. These actually 8 steps and 8 things to do when it comes to setting a dream or a goal are going to help you not just build the systems you need to support that goal, but it's also going to help you get clarity. Because sometimes it just sounds good. It's like, oh, I want to lose weight. Okay, but like, why? Why do you want to lose weight outside of just like health, or you want to fit into that, spring vacation swimsuit or whatever? I'm just using fitness as an example for those of you that tune into obviously the the ice cold peak performance mentality. But why do we have these goals, right? What does it actually mean to us personally? Okay, I'm going to talk about this in the context of 2 things. Either you're chasing your dreams or you're running away from your nightmare. And the context of these 8 different steps can be applied to both. I typically find more people actually get motivated to act and are driven by avoiding the nightmare than chasing any type of dream. Here's why. When we dream and we set goals and we speak it out loud, there's actually science that shows this speaking of goals, even if we're not doing anything as far as action to accomplish that goal, just speaking it out loud and being like, we're going to achieve this, we have these big dreams, it releases the same amount of dopamine, the feel good hormone. It releases the same amount of dopamine as if you were actually achieving those goals. So, what's easier? Say the goal and achieve the dopamine, or actually do all the hard work necessary to achieve the same amount of dopamine? The one without. So that's why so many people every single year speak all these goals, speak these dreams. And I would challenge you to actually think and actually understand the concept of what actually might be your nightmare. When setting dreams and goals, let's start with this. What do we want out of life? What do we need out of life? Let's start even there. Wants versus needs. I know we talk about all of the time, but if you make a want actually become something you need in your life, aka the opposite, what's the minimum you need to not be actually living your nightmare? Maybe it's a financial goal. Go back to fitness goal. Maybe it's a career goal. What do you want in a life, in your relationships, right? Spiritually, mentally, emotionally, physically. I'm reading a great book right now called The Rhythm of Life. That's actually helping me understand the different areas and how to pursue different things. Now, this system doesn't come from that book, but I think of it as like the context, right? Physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. What do you want out of life? What experiences do you want out of life? What dreams or goals do you really have? How often are you revisiting these goals and dreams? Ever since I was like a kid, I've always written down like goals and dreams that I've had. What's so crazy, and this has happened way more than once, where I'd like write down these dreams and goals, not look at it for a few years, and all of a sudden, as I'm moving somewhere new or packing things up or just cleaning up my office, I find the notebook and then I see goals that I wrote down like 4 or 5 years prior. And so many times, all of them have happened. Because when you put things physically down and you send that energy into the universe aligns to actually, there's principles behind this. Whether you believe in God or not, or kind of you believe in manifesting, it doesn't matter. When you put it out there in the universe, it's actually going to reward you with that same energy as long as you do what you need to do, which leads us to the next thing. What is the knowledge that we need to gain, processes we need to build, and action or execution that we need to make the what happen, right? Our wants happen. Sometimes we actually lack knowledge, we lack processes, and we lack execution. the other part that a component of this is what are we willing to sacrifice? A lot of us set goals and it sounds great. And then it becomes, well, what do we actually need to be willing to sacrifice? If we go back to fitness, I'll keep it super simple. If you want to actually lose 20 pounds, having that, cheat sugary snack in the fridge for those every other nights that you kind of just are exhausted or whatever and just want to reward yourself for a hard work day, that's not really going to support the weight loss goal, obviously. But we know that knowing and not doing is the same thing as not knowing. So we know that stuff, but because we're not doing it, we actually don't know how to build systems around how to actually do that, right? What will help us is actually understanding the deeper meaning and impact for why we'd either want to make that sacrifice to ensure that our wants or avoiding our nightmares doesn't actually happen. Because when we start to understand the meaning and the impact that it would have, if we just keep going this way and we keep setting these goals, and yes, we want this, but then we just never actually execute on a plan, what would it mean if we just never actually got there, right? That's actually part of step 4 as well. What are the consequences, or what actually is that nightmare if we don't change? How bad could life actually get if we didn't get the knowledge, put the processes in place, put the systems and habits in place, right? For us to understand the deeper meaning to why it's going to give us so much more like confidence and competence in our life. If we don't do that, what nightmares are going to happen? Because again, I think more people are more motivated than preventing their nightmares from happening. And sometimes the nightmares don't show up as you would think. It's all of a sudden that health scare. It's all of a sudden you thought everything was going well, but then all of a sudden, I don't know, I'll give an example. You lose a job or a business goes under. You weren't anticipating it, you weren't planning it, you weren't expecting it at all. You're just kind of like, oh, because a lot of people are not willing to do number 4. They're not willing to explore failure because our brains are trained to protect us from things that may have a giant emotional onset of like, man, I couldn't imagine what failure would feel like. If you don't actually end up exploring this, you know what happens? This actually becomes your default because inherently by not exploring it, you've made it acceptable as that's already something that's already it's just going to happen. Why? People who are willing to explore this define reality. They actually define where they're at, which is going to even tie back into the deeper meaning, tie back into the motivation to why, hey, why should I sacrifice? Why should I get more knowledge? Why should I find better systems to execute? And even a deeper meaning into what we want. Cool so far? Hopefully I'm not overwhelming you guys. Number 5 is what are the actual tangible, broken down, reverse engineered steps we need to take on our path to our goal, our dream, or even better yet, avoiding the nightmare. What are those steps? This is like the what. What do we need to do on a weekly, daily basis? Because the moment that you set a goal and you have this desire, you have to remove it and actually break it down to the daily, weekly things that you're going to do to get there. Because if you constantly set goals and then every 2 days you're looking at it being like, oh, I'm not there yet. I'm not there yet. It's like, I don't know if any of you have ever planted seeds, but if you planted a seed, you tilled the soil or whatever, and you just sat there and just watched it, right? It's not going to just reveal like it's plant. It takes time. You have to keep watering, you have to keep doing it, even when it seems like nothing's happening. But what a lot of people do too often is they set dreams and goals, they water the flower or plant for 2 days, they don't see anything. So then they dig it up thinking that there's something wrong with the seed. And every time you do that, it's like you kind of have to start over. All the work that you had done to water, till the soil, or whatever, now you have to redo the whole thing to actually start back over so that you can grow that plant. It's the same thing for your dreams and goals. It really is. So, what are those tangible next steps? Next is how are we going to be building systems? This is the how. Because if you have steps without the systems to support it, it's going to be very, very hard. Clear talks about it in Atomic Habits. You don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. So how are we going to get there? What things do we need to do? Maybe it's from a financial standpoint. What does a budget look like? Right? What systems do we have to prevent us from just going out and spending our credit card willy-nilly, if that's a goal of yours? Okay. That's something I had to very severely work on quite a few years ago because I started making a lot of money in sales and just started spending, spending, spending. Fortunately, I never got into like crazy debt from spending from that. Other things from previous businesses I had done. So I was kind of forced to be financially smart to get out of that hole. But what systems do we have? Because systems will beat intention every single day of the week. I'll say that one more time. Systems will beat your best intentions every single day of the week. Number 7. You ever hear the saying, plan for the worst, but hope for the best? You need plans B, C, and D. Why? Everyone has an intent. Everyone has a plan. Like Mike Tyson says, until they get punched in the face. So if something in here doesn't go as planned, or all of a sudden the steps or the systems, or all of a sudden life changes and like you said, you lose a job, or all of a sudden there's the gym closes. I'm just giving an example because that was actually what happened during COVID. The gym closes. Now your systems aren't no longer there. So what's plan B, C, and D? Right now you don't have to come up with all the plans through D right away. At least have a plan B. How are you going to still sustain the systems and that reverse engineer the steps to then understand the meaning behind the goal that you have or the nightmare you're trying to avoid? So that way it still supports what you're trying to go toward. Because this is where a lot of people don't plan that part out. And all of a sudden, when things don't go to plan, they just quit. That's when most people quit because they don't understand how everything ties together. To loop this all together, we have to find our reason. Now, this is different than our why. We think our why is, hey, like, why is this important to me? Yes, there's meaning, there's impact behind the goal. Why is this important to me? I'll give you an example. Why did I want to start this podcast? Why did I want to build different businesses that support who I believe are the high performers of our society, the backbones of America, which is salespeople and business people creating opportunities so many people can have jobs, right? That's a why. That's what motivates me. That's not my reason. Actually, a mentor of mine from a very successful, like $75 million company told me your reason is even beyond that. You're scaling back. You're scaling back. And what we discovered for myself, what did I really want at the end of the day? After I'd mentioned all these different dreams and goals that I had, financial impact, to different charities, different ministries I want to do, I just wanted security. I didn't grow up with a lot. I always had to work jobs since I was 12. I just wanted the financial and mental security that I was gonna have enough. There were times when I was almost homeless. There was times where I couldn't even afford groceries when I was kind of a young adult in college. That story's out there. But that's what drives me the most of everything. I just want security. So that's an example of a reason. Hopefully that didn't get too deep for you, but just to tie it all in a nice little bow, if you put the context behind this as nightmares that you are running from, things you absolutely will fight to not have be a reality for you, you won't need motivation. You will have things built, you'll have steps to the different systems that you're going to actually establish. So you fall back on those systems, you'll have different plans as a backup. You'll be able to constantly connect to your reason, the meaning behind that, actually exploring failure and what that would look like, because that's going to help you actually create different plans to help put a stopgap in the case that these steps and systems don't go as planned. Constantly having the knowledge and processes to regroup, to reorganize, and then execute so you never have to face your nightmares. That's what I want to give you today. Hope this helps. We'll see you on the next one. This is where winners learn to be great. Built for the cold, you say? That damn straight. The lessons, the love, the insights from above. Hope you take them and grow, even with another cup of Joe. Thank you for dropping in and listening to the show.